We're going to explain this. A 32-bit process cannot access modules of a 64-bit process. Exception you might encounter when you try to use a 32-bit process to interact with a 64-bit process. This exception happens because of the fundamental difference in how 32-bit and 64-bit applications work. 1. Memory addresses. Imagine your computer's memory as a massive address book. 32-bit processes have a smaller address space, meaning they can only see and access a limited number of memory locations, addresses. 64-bit processes have a significantly larger address space, allowing them to access a much wider range of memory locations. This difference in address space is crucial to understanding the exception. 2. Process interaction. When a 32-bit process tries to access a 64-bit process, it's like trying to find a specific address in a much larger address book. The 32-bit process doesn't understand the format of the larger address space, and it can't translate the addresses it sees into something meaningful for the 64-bit process. This leads to the a 32-bit process cannot access modules of a 64-bit process error. 3. Common scenarios. This exception is most common when you're using tools or libraries designed for 32-bit systems to interact with 64-bit applications. For example, you might encounter this if you're trying to use a 32-bit debugging tool to inspect the memory of a 64-bit program. 4. Solutions. The most straightforward solution is to use 64-bit versions of the tools or libraries involved. This ensures that your tools and the targeted process are working with the same address space, eliminating the compatibility issue. 5. Understanding compatibility. The key takeaway is that you must be mindful of the architecture, 32-bit or 64-bit, of the processes you're working with. When you mix 32-bit and 64-bit applications, you can run into compatibility problems. If you encounter this exception, ensure that all your processes are running in the same architecture to resolve the issue.